Hello students of North Broward. My name is Josh Bucher and I'm going to be your executive treasurer. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a student government legislator, the treasurer of Key Club, and the event coordinator of Model UN. I'm looking forward to making next year the best that it can possibly be through incorporating all of your ideas and working hard to make them a reality. I'm excited to work with my fellow board members, whose speeches you will hear following mine, to make sure that the 2018-2019 year will be a great one. Thank you, and there is a Bucher in your future. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Tyler Katz, and I'm running to be your executive secretary. I am qualified to serve as I am extremely involved in leadership roles both at and away from North Broward. Away from North Broward, I've held a part-time job as a tennis coach for the past 2.5 years, and at North Broward, I've done the following. First of which is I've been the president of the speech and debate team for the entirety of my sophomore year, traveling almost every single weekend debating nationally. Secondarily, I'm a newly inducted member of the NHS, and third and finally, a proud member of the varsity tennis team. Most importantly, I have extensive experience in North Broward student government. In my freshman year, I was a member of the legislature, and in my sophomore year, the class vice president. I also believe that when you run for a position, it's important to understand what's being asked of you. After having student government as a class for the entirety of my sophomore year, I do. The executive secretary has one very big prime function. It's taking notes on just about everything and anything said during legislative meetings or during class. I know, as I constantly brag about how fast I type, that I wouldn't miss any of those notes in either of the meetings. I will make it my personal duty to contribute, to record, and to most of all organize all of the thoughts and decisions made by my peers and I. I want to make these last few years at North Broward the best they can be, and in order to do that, I will make all of your voices heard. I run on the idea that every voice matters. No matter how small or how large, everything will be taken into consideration equally by my peers and I. In our society nowadays, I know that kind of unity is extremely important. We are all fortunate to be here at North Broward, and most of all, we are all fortunate to have voices from all around the world, spanning from China back to the United States. And I believe that global population should not be taken for granted, and we should use it to our strongest advantage. I told you this last year, and I've kept my promise. We as the sophomore class have done a few things. The first of which is planned a successful fundraiser in which we sold Wawa milkshakes, and we sold out in 30 minutes, doubling our profit. We are planning another fundraiser. Secondarily, about homecoming. What we did, the first thing we were tasked with planning homecoming is we pulled the entirety of the school in our legislative meeting as sophomores, and we decided what we were going to do for homecoming and took all of those thoughts into consideration. I understand that student government can't govern alone, and quite frankly, why should we? Each and every one here at North Broward is truly incredible. The student government should be looking to you for inspiration, not the other way around. And if you give me the honor of serving as your executive secretary, that is exactly what I will do. A vote for me is a vote for you. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Natalie Ziegler, and I'm running to be your executive secretary. I'm going to be a senior next year, and I want my final year here at North Broward to be the best that it could be. I decided to run for student government because of my interest in helping the school community grow and to further my passions for government. Now, I'm not saying that I know everything about government because I do have some things to learn, but I do think that that's the type of person that you should elect. The one that has the drive to make the school community better and is really focused on the students' wants and needs. Some of you may know me from either seeing me around the classroom, in different clubs and honor societies, and especially helping out with all the different sports teams at North Broward. But being involved at so many things in North Broward is very beneficial because I get to hear all the different student perspectives and their voices. And I want to make next year all about the students and fight for what we want to do. And doing this will hopefully raise everyone's school spirit and help us have a successful year next year. Being your executive secretary will allow me to bring a new creative voice into the team while having fun and making a difference. I want to take part in planning of any class events and any school fundraiser that will be going on. And I love student government in the previous years that I was in it, and I would like to continue learning and growing and making a difference in our school. So I want you guys to believe and put me, Natalie Ziegler, up to the challenge as representing you as your executive secretary. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Alexa Bryant and I am very excited to be your Executive Vice President next year. I'm looking forward to helping all of you make this school a more fun and collaborative environment by achieving club efficiency and communication. While I realize that this upcoming year will not be easy, I know that together we can make it a good one. You all have brilliant ideas that you would love to see implemented at North Broward, and I want to help you, whether it is through helping you find a club you are interested in joining, reaching out to clubs to put on events throughout the year, or even chartering your own club. I know that there is a place and an activity for everyone, and I want to help you find yours. I will work in the Student Organizations Committee to complete the goals you want to accomplish in order to make your high school experience the best it can be. In addition to fulfilling these duties, I look forward to working with the other student government members, assisting them as we work together to help you. I want each and every one of you to know that I want to be a voice for you, and you can always talk to me if you need help, want something done, or see something that could be done better. This is your high school experience, and when you look back, it should be something you remember because you enjoyed it, not because you wanted it to be over. Overall, in the next year, I plan to support the Executive President and serve the NB community, and I know that with your input and support and the advice I have received from past Vice Presidents, I will succeed in doing just that. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the 2018-2019 Executive Presidential Debate. My name is Tyler Gottlieb, and I will be serving as today's moderator. Today's debate, featuring candidates Dylan Rosenthal and Maxwell Meyerson, will consist of a number of questions that will help us to understand each candidate's views and plans for next year. Candidates will be given a few of the same questions, but they will also be asked questions specific to them as well. Each candidate will get 45 seconds to respond to each question. You should also know that the candidates have not been shown the questions before being asked them in an effort to keep their answers as genuine as possible. Before we begin with our questions, let's give each candidate the opportunity to give a 1-minute introduction, starting with Dylan Rosenthal.
Hello 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th graders. My name is Dylan Rosenthal, and I want to be your Executive President. For the past 3 years, I had the honor to represent the student body and student government. I've been the freshman secretary-treasurer, the sophomore class president, and this past year I served as your executive secretary. I believe that one characteristic in particular that qualifies me for this position is my experience. I understand how student government works, I understand how legislature works, and I've been working and will continue to work to help better the school for you. Next year, if elected executive president, I would emphasize bridging the divide between the community. Another one of my goals would be to increase the amount of school spirit. And most important, I would do as I have done for you for the past 3 years. I would be passionate, driven, and committed to the school, and more importantly, the students. Thank you for listening to me today, and I urge you to please vote this Thursday for Dylan Rosenthal for Executive President to have a great school year. Thank you.
Thank you. Maxwell.
Hi everyone, my name is Maxwell Meyerson, and I am running to be your Executive President for the 2018-19 school year. So I am running for this position because I want to finally set the change that the student body has been wishing for into motion. I want to redefine the ideas that we have of class events, pep rallies, fundraisers, and other social activities to make them more appealing and more beneficial for our high school experiences. My goals for the executive board are to ultimately remove the communication barrier between the student government and the student body. I want everyone's voice to be heard, and for us as a community to be able to work together towards common goals, from class-specific activities to fundamental social issues that exist between day students and residential students. As an international school of over 30 represented countries, it is time for us to finally come together and establish the real change that I feel so passionately about. I hope to represent all of you as next year's executive president.
Thank you. Now moving on to our questions. Maxwell, let's begin with you first. What is the first thing you would do as executive president?
Yeah, so the first thing that I would do is probably begin to address the problems with communication barriers by addressing a problem that currently exists in our student union. So during lunch periods, I've noticed a very large problem. Residential students see very little interaction with day students. And luckily, I have a plan and a solution for this problem that's existed in our student body for far too long. So if student government officers and or student legislators were to host meetings in conjunction with existing organizations such as our multicultural club during lunch periods, people will begin to socialize with one another regardless of race, friendship statuses, or other key factors that will continue to hinder our ability. Imagine a world where every student felt free to express themselves.
Thank you. Dylan, what is the first thing you would do as executive president?
First thing I'd do as executive president is at the beginning of next year with the start of legislature again, I would really emphasize the fact that the students do have a very large voice and that they can make a lot of changes at the school. I would make sure that everyone understands how they can bring bills and resolutions to the front of the legislature that can be brought to the attention of not only the student body but administration so that they can be aware of any issues that the students see. And I would help students come forward with these bills and resolutions. I'd give them samples and I'd actually help them write them and present them to the legislature so that they can make the biggest impact within the school.
Thank you. Dylan, what is the school's best tradition and why?
I'd say that the school's best tradition is the War of the Wings. I think that War of the Wings is a really fun event where we get a bunch of local restaurants to donate wings, and it's usually held during a football game, but this year we had it during the soccer senior nights, and it's really cool because not only does it get local restaurants involved within our school, but also gets the whole school involved, and we help raise money. This year it was for the American Heart Association, which we've been trying to raise money for a very long time at this school with the lower school. So the whole school partnered together for this event, and I think it's really a great opportunity for the whole community just outside North Broward as well to get involved.
Thank you. Maxwell, what is the school's best tradition and why?
Okay. I think our school's best tradition definitely lies in the Multicultural Week. So we just experienced our Multicultural Week a couple weeks ago, and by participating in each day's event, we're ultimately able to express not only our cultural beliefs, but also show what we've been working on as an international school to express our cultures and show that we are indeed a group of people working together towards common goals, unification of our community. And at the closing ceremony, I think we were able to show what we've been working on in terms of our fine arts programs and also our cultural clubs and many other organizations that exist on campus.
Thank you. Maxwell, this question is specific to you. Having never been involved in student government or legislature, why should the voters watching today trust you to lead them?
So I think one of the biggest factors, obviously, that may lead to skepticism is experience, but I want the student class to know that having a breath of fresh air in our student government is actually exactly what we need. So in terms of not being a student government representative prior to this, I believe that this could allow for a very large advantage because a lot of the same people have been present in student government for far too long, and I think exactly what the student body needs is someone who's been a member of their community for a long amount of time and able to understand what the student body has needed from the student legislators and student government and know how to communicate with them and how to improve.
Thank you. Dylan, this question is specific to you. Having been a part of student government, what have you learned and what would you plan to do differently?
Well, since I've been a part of student government since freshman year, I've learned many different things. For example, in student government, I've planned many events, such as from class events to fundraisers, and a part of being executive president is to help other grades come up with fundraisers and class events. So since I've gone through this process, I can help them, and I would start that off very early in the year so that they could plan this, and I would encourage them to reach out to their grade to see what they would want. Also, since I've been a part of legislature, since freshman year, I've been giving reports, and this past year I helped preside over meetings and I was in charge of communicating with legislators. But I would also emphasize, as I said before, that students outside of legislature can bring forward changes not only to the school and to administration's attention, and I would also emphasize focus on school spirit because I really think that's a big issue that student government can fix.
Okay, thank you. Dylan, what effort will you take to change the culture in our school?
So I think that the biggest issue with the culture in the school is school spirit, at least one of the biggest issues, and one way that I would like to address this is instead of just having large concentrated events of spirit, such as homecoming week or the week leading up to a pep rally, I would like to have smaller spirited events throughout the school year, such as a little event before we go on winter break to celebrate the holidays that are coming up, or just little events that can be themed around holidays like recently St. Patrick's Day, just little things like that to keep the spirit and the morale of the students up throughout the whole school year rather than just during those little times. And also to address the divide in our community, I like to hold little events over the weekend where we can bring in catered dinners where we invite both residential and day students to come and just hang out and have a dinner together outside of school during the weekend.
Thank you. Maxwell, what would you do to change the culture in our school?
So I sort of touched upon this a little bit with the student union situation. I think that having me in office, I'll be able to make the specific changes in the student union environment that we'll need to improve the culture in our school. In terms of right upon being elected, I think in order to ensure that the communication barrier between the student government and the student body is broken, we need to continue emphasis on social media. So some of you may follow North Broward Student Government account. Unfortunately, many of you do not. So if elected, one of the main things that I want to do is increase the platform and reach that the student government has online over the student body. I want to be able to have the student government social media be an open platform for anyone to voice what they want to change in our school's community.
Thank you. Maxwell, what does it mean to you to not only be running for a student government position, but to be executive president?
So as someone who's been attending this school since pre-K, I've learned so much about this school. I've become so attached to this community, and as your executive president, I hope to be able to expand on what you, Tyler, have started and the other student government officers started. I want to be able to continue the traditions that we have and also expand on them. I want to be able to emphasize the fact that we live and study in an international school. And I want to be able to improve the relationships that we all have to ultimately create a very enjoyable high school experience.
Thank you. Dylan, what does it mean to you to be a part of student government and potentially executive president?
Well, being a part of student government for me is about the students themselves. I'm very passionate about not only helping, I'm very passionate about helping the school, which is why I've continued to do student government. And being executive president, I believe, would give me the biggest chance to make the largest impact here at the school. And also, I think that being executive president also gives me the chance to be more involved with the school. And like Maxwell, I've been going to this school since pre-K. And I've seen a lot of changes at the school, and I'd like to be a part of those changes. And I think that as executive president, I can really be a part of those changes and see them happen and make them happen.
Thank you. Dylan, what is the biggest issue in your eyes with North Broward that you would like to fix next year, and how will you fix it?
I'd say, again, that the biggest issue I see is school spirit. I think that that's something that, as executive president, I can really fix. And by doing this with our spirit commissioner, I would have the spirit commissioner reach out to students from anywhere, from the soccer team to thespians or anywhere in between, and I would have them ask students, would you like to be involved with the pep rally? So they can be a part of the planning process and get excited about pep rallies and get their friends excited about the pep rallies, so everyone will be more involved. And I think that this will really help boost school spirit, and again, have small events throughout the school year so that people can still be spirited, even when there's not spirit events going on. And I'd really emphasize the game of the seasons so that students would go out and support the sports teams here at the school, because I think that's a big part of of school spirit.
Thank you. Maxwell, what is the biggest issue in your eyes with North Broward that you would like to fix next year, and how will you fix it?
Yeah, so I really touched on the communication barrier between the student government and the student body. I think one of the biggest issues that exists is the situation in the student union. I already addressed that, so I'd also like to talk about another large issue. So one issue that I see with our class events is that the same student government individuals conduct class events that possess a little initial support from the class and obvious nominal outcomes when they're executed. When I was in 10th grade, my class event, which was put together in part by my opponent, was the screening of a PG-rated movie on the football field. And I feel that that was really a missed opportunity for our class, because everything that the event accomplished really could be accomplished outside our school. And what this shows is that our student government needs more creativity and, more importantly, a breath of fresh air in terms of an officer who knows what the student government needs and what the student body wants.
Thank you. Maxwell, at the end of next year, you may be looking back on your presidency. What would you like to remember, and what would you like to be remembered for?
So I'd like to remember a lot of the new traditions and improved traditions that I will be expanding upon if elected as your executive president. I want to be able to look at my graduating class and see a united class, regardless of race, culture, and see a group of individuals who has worked collectively as a unit to better our high school experience. I want to be remembered for making this school what it really wants to be, an international school, an established community full of individuals who wish to do whatever they're passionate about in the world.
Thank you. Dylan, at the end of next year, you may be looking back on your presidency. What would you like to remember, and what would you like to be remembered for?
When I look back at the end of next year, if I were to win executive president, I would love to see the school with more school spirit, because I think that school spirit is what really can make the school happy, and I think that with next year, with my ideas to improve school spirit, that this could continue on for many more years to come. And I also, like Max, would like to see the school more united, and I think that can be accomplished as well with me as executive president. But what I would like to be remembered for is I would like to be remembered for making a big change here at North Broward, because again, I've seen a lot of changes at the school, and I would like to make one of those big changes, and I would like to be remembered for that.
Thank you. That is all the time we have today. Thank you both so much for your participation. I hope that what both candidates have said will help all of you watching in making your decision. Don't forget, Election Day is next Thursday, April 12th, during second period. Don't forget to vote. Thank you again, and have a great day.